Good evening and salutations, my Beyond the Case fans. Okay, alright. We're gonna get into Vanessa and Doug for a minute. Because I feel like I'll be remiss if I didn't sit there and talk about this situation. Now, during my live stream on Sunday, on the big one, where Brock and DC and Kyrie's. And, we're they kind of theorizing, this whole relationship with Vanessa and husband and everything like that. And I think it was either Brock, maybe DC, it could have been Brock, that was like, he thinks that there's some sort of swingers, right? And that term has been used a couple of times in my streams that they are swingers. They get together with other people or whatever. It's role playing. No, 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 no. This is not role playing. Okay, I'm gonna sit there and tell you that right off rip. So once again, Vanessa's not there, um, flirting with her trainer. Her trainer's flirting with her. Very inappropriate because she's married and everything. And at some point, she turns around and she's like, "Oh, Doug, my husband." Like, wow, you sound super enthusiastic about that. And right then and there, it told me everything I need to know. Well, when they had a conversation, it told me everything I need to know. Because he does get there. Let me tell you something about some women. I'm not just saying about women in general, but some women. Most women, or at least the ones that I've dealt with, whenever there's an issue, I'm not doing something or I'm doing something that they don't like, there's they tend to get certain little sly comments, a little bit of shade, right? Just to kind of be like, you're messing up in this area, you need to do better. Or you're not doing enough of something, you need to do better. And when Vanessa was like, yeah, you've been really busy at the hospital and can't you find somebody else to do something, it told me everything that I need to know. Doug is a very busy man. Apparently too busy to sit there and notice that his wife is not happy about that. You know what they sit there and say about idle hands, right? So there's that issue. And of course, train comes back and the train's like, so my cousin who has deep pockets wants to sit there and look at a property, you know. But he's coming in today, you think you sit there and hook him up or whatever. And she's like, yeah, listen, that's fine. That's fine. I'll take care of that. Now, Doug, I could have sworn he was looking at the phone. He was not there looking into that trainer. I could have been wrong, but I could have sworn he was looking into that trainer. So most men have a tendency of being jealous. I do. Yeah. But I guess on some level, and it's just the way they were sitting there talking just seemed kind of off. And like, if I was the husband, I can see him being like, okay, well, you got what you needed. You can sit there and go. But seeing how she's probably the one that's probably bringing in the bills and handling the money responsibly, you don't want to sit there and mess up herself. Anyway, while she's not there showing, the trainer the house and everything like that because he says that his cousin won't be there and he's doing something, so he has to go there to sit there and check out the property. He starts putting his hands on her. She's like, what are you doing? And he said something. And then she pretty much is like, oh, well, it's about time. So she starts making out with this guy and taking him to the bedroom. And I'm like, yep, exactly where I was going. I mean, granted, we all knew where I was going from day one. Now, I wanted to sit there and believe it's, you can look but not touch situation. Listen, when you're married or whatever, you're seeing someone, you can look at somebody and that's fine. But, it should just end there. So it seems like she definitely is not getting what she needs from her man as far as time and everything else. You know what her man is doing? Gambling, right? Because at some point he drops a poker chip and he makes some sort of excuse. And apparently he's at some sort of poker place or whatever, and he's losing big time, right? He even asked one of the women that worked there, you think think the house could sit there and spot me some credit, just to kind of get me back into the game. He called his friend Randy. And his friend Randy knew him since, they were in middle school. But he's like, I'm not doing this. You know, I'm not giving you my money. I'm not going to let you sink down even bigger even bigger hole, because he clearly has a gambling problem. And he's also like, the owner of this club is not going to be too happy if I try to, get you some money from the club or whatever. He's the type of person that will be breaking kneecaps. Okay? Unlike Miss Wu on General Hospital, this guy seems like, he's really about that mob life. He's like, listen, I want you to suck it up and talk to your wife or whatever. I mean, it's a shame, I mean, gambling addiction, that's a real thing, Eva, Eva, and Kat. Mm-mm-mm. It's amazing that on the same day, they both kind of become a little bit on my shit list. After Eva's not there talking to Nicole, and Nicole leaves to go have breakfast with her family, Eva's not there looking around. She's snooping through the office to try to find something. Who the hell knows? And Kat comes in, and Kat's like, who the hell are you? Okay, that's very nice to sit there and approach somebody. And she's like, what are you doing sitting there snooping through through my mother's office or whatever? And she's like, oh, well, I'm just new. I'm just sitting there just trying to figure out the lay of the land or whatever. And right off back, Kat comes across as the most snobbiest that I've seen so far. I'm like, you just reek of privilege. And it was actually kind of disgusting to watch, right? She starts commenting on her outfit and everything like that. And they go back and forth a little bit, but Eva plays it cool for the most part. She tries not to really engage with her. But Kat makes it very clear, by the end of the day, I'm going to make sure that you don't have a job. Which is like, yes, on the background, we know that Eva's no good, and I get that part. But a privileged prick like her wouldn't understand anything about money or a job, because she never had to want for anything in her life. So right off rip, she was just annoying. Hell, she even tells mommy Darius about her encounter with Eva. Oh, she was rude to me, and she doesn't dress well, and all this other stuff, and I can find you a better person. And Nicole's like not really trying to hear this, because it just seems like it sounds like rich people's problems. But then Eva talks to Leslie. Leslie is with Mona and the other chick who clearly they're not going to sit there and say her name yet. Ashley's mother. They're talking, nothing really too big, just talking about the wedding and the gossip and stuff. This is where I start to tune out a little bit, where you start talking about that. And she gets home and she wants to sit there and hear Eva's progress report. They talk. I forgot something. Eva was also sitting there talking to Ted. And I guess it was just very shocking for her the first time actually meeting her dad, right? Her dad is thanking her for making his wife's job a lot easier and just being really friendly and copacetic, and also eavesdropping to a conversation that he had with Jacob about the hit and run and the footage not really being traceable, so there's kind of a dead end. There's not really much that he can do. So yes, at some point they do meet up, and gives her a progress report. First, she talks about that, right? Oh, he thinks he's God's gift to black women. I'm like, okay, this is why I start to tune out again, right? This is why I start to tune out again, because you're only sitting there listening to your mother's portion of the story. So everything that was coming out of her mouth was just poison from her mother's perspective, right? So it started to annoy me a little bit. I'm like, and the sad thing was, like, I'm sitting there watching this scene with her and Kat, and I'm like, ugh, Kat is being such a, But then, less than 5 minutes later, Eva's being the exact same type in a sense. I'm like, both you and her managed to annoy the shit out of me. Yeah, there's some pretty hot chicks, but like, y'all both just managed to annoy me in one day. And I'm like, it's pretty impressive. That's actually pretty impressive. I like that. Um, so you talk about that, talk about the Eva situation, and pretty much call her spoiled rich princess or whatever. But then she asks about the hit and run. See, the thing is, she doesn't know that her bonkers ass mom was the one that ran Laura off the road, and she feels guilty about that. She feels guilty about the fact that she slid into an opportunity. Um, she's benefiting from an opportunity that Laura is hurting from. So there is some goodness in her. Hell, I don't really think that she's actually that evil. I don't think she's evil. I just think that she's naive. And she asked Leslie about it. She's like, "Yo, listen, I don't want to sit there and ask, but did you run this check off the road?" And Leslie makes a big deal about it. She's like, "Oh, I can't believe you would ask me that, and why would you sit there and do that?" So everything, just really guilt tripping her to the point where she apologizes and she takes it back. My thing is, when Eva finds out about Ted's version, she's gonna feel stupid. She's gonna feel stupid about that. She's gonna feel really bad that her mom ran Laura off the road, and I'm not even gonna feel bad for her. See, I have a very difficult time feeling bad for people who I feel should have a little more common sense. A little more common sense than that. So I'm not gonna feel bad for her when she realized, oh damn, I was really, I got the whole, the thing with dad wrong. I'm not gonna feel bad for her. I'm just simply not. Um, the family is doing what the family does. I will sit there and say one thing about this episode, and I'll be remiss to sit there and say this. And this is something that I heard from and Nikisha's channel. Where she was sitting there saying that she knows a lot of complaining about it being very Danny centric. And she talks about how it's. But you got to watch her video, and she explains it a lot better about how it's good that they focus on Danny to have a central point. And you just kind of brush out of it, and she can kind of take more of a backseat approach. And while I do get that, and then I do agree with that to some extent, I know how people are. People don't have patience for that. So the one thing I could sit there and say that I was very happy about was not seeing Danny today. And it's not because I don't like the character. I just don't want them to overuse the character. You know how many times I've seen on General Hospital people sit there and say, "Oh, this is a Carly centric episode. Why does Carly have to be in every episode?" Carly's not as Carly is not in as many episodes as people think that she is. But if they're complaining about that, and this show just started with Danny, you can only imagine the amount of I'm so sick and tired of Danny Smith talking about this, that, and the third. Although she does have a valid reason for being upset, I can see why it's a benefit to not put her in so much episodes. You know, I just don't want them to sit there and overplay her too much to the point where people start to get a little kind of annoyed. Um, Brady's not there talking to. I know people call him Smitty. Maybe at some point I may call him Smitty, but I'm going to call him Brady for now. Is talking to Nicole about his restlessness and how he misses being a reporter and he wants to kind of get back into the game. He puts some feelers out there just to kind of see, you know, what's the chances about getting back in the game. Now Martin is overhearing this whole thing and he doesn't seem too happy about it. Which I'm kind of just like, you love him, you should support him, and not just want him to sit there and be a stay-at-home dad. Martin Smith is talking about how he wants to become president. I think that'd be pretty interesting. Um, what else? I think that's about it. Jacob. Jacob talks to his dad. His dad being named didn't say. Like seriously, I'm sorry. I know this is kind of a nitpick, but this is kind of a big nitpick though. I know you can sit there and call his dad by his actual name, but like, can they like put like a little bubble underneath so that way I don't sit there and start this conversation by saying, "Well, Jacob talked to his dad," and people being like, his dad name is. How do you not know that? Like, because he didn't say it. I had to sit there and look it up, like I have been for the past couple of days. Anyway, he talks to his dad, and long story short, he feels bad for not upholding the law, not doing what he swore to do, which was uphold the law. As far as that whole debacle, that whole wedding debacle, that he should have sat there and stopped it. He should have sat there and put Danny on the handcuffs and should have sat there and took her down to the station and processed her like he would process anybody else. He felt like he failed himself. He felt like he failed the bad. You know what his dad did? His dad pretty much was just easy on her. And I felt like he was too damn easy on her. He was like, well, listen, you have to sit there and think about your wife and your family and everything like that. And yeah, and I get that, but like at the end of the day, you're a cop first. Well, okay. Ideally, you're a cop first. Yes, you should always sit there and put your family before your badge, right? But that doesn't make you a good cop. That's the thing. It does not make you a good cop, especially in that situation. Yes, we all know that Daniel's going to get off because, I mean, their family is rich and practically owns that town. So, I mean, they're not even getting so much as even a parking ticket. But the point is, he should have been disappointed in him. I think he's like a captain or something like that. And he should have been a little more harsher on him about that. And yeah, he should have been. But he was like, oh, well, at the end of the day, I'm going to sit there and quote a guy. Don't remember what his name is. I'm going to quote a guy. And he pretty much like, just let it go. And I'm like, yeah, so start talking to him. So I really appreciate that. Appreciate that part. I will sit there and say this much. This is something again that Nikisha was saying, like just how relevant that this show is, and all the little knickknacks that they do. Like yesterday, they actually said Facebook. Today they talked about the Shade Room. They talked about the Breakfast Club. Like they talked about that stuff. This is stuff that I know about. Most people know about. Well, most people know about the Shade. Okay, some people know about the Shade Room. Most people know about the Breakfast Club. Okay, so I did like the fact that when she was talking to her family about the viral clip and everything like that, she was like, "It's trending on this, that, third, Insta." And you remember a long time ago, if you're a General Hospital fan, they couldn't sit there and say Facebook, right? So they said my face. And granted, we all just sat there and said, "Oh, this is dumb, this is silly, or whatever." But like, it's nice to actually have that reference. It's nice to have that reference. I feel like this show is little things like that. Like even as far as social media influencers being an actual thing. Like I don't think that people understand this, and it's kind of interesting that they went this route. I'm not saying this for every older person, but let's be honest. Most older people sit there and look at what I do and look at what Kat does and look at what Chelsea does as not a real job. Of course, I always find it very funny that the people that sit there and say that couldn't actually do this. But it is nice to sit there and see that as far as like, hey, listen, social media influencers, they do exist. Hell, my money exists. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, even something like that, I can sit there and fully appreciate it. Anyway, I don't have anything else to sit there and say. Now, tonight, I'm supposed to be doing a live stream with Kyrese and Ranted Ricardo at 9 o'clock. And I still got to sit there and watch General Hospital. So, if I do a live stream, it's going to be early. I don't know if I'm actually have the time to do it, but I'm going to try. It may not be for that long, but I didn't do a live stream yesterday because, well, I mean, I got to work late, and then everything else just kind of. It's amazing what 5 or 6 soap operas could actually do. Hell, take that back. I actually have 2 more things to do. I have General Hospital to do, and I have Hollyoaks to sit down and watch, which is like only 20 minutes, but it's still a show that one day when I really kind of start to get knowing more of the characters and stuff, I'll add that on there. Anyway, that's much I got. If I miss anything, let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, we might talk about it at some point later on today. We'll definitely talk about it tomorrow. Um, in my live stream, we'll go into that. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video.